Listen now to the book, One Night with the Hybrid King, written by the author Anya Curves. If you want to buy the ebook, link in the description. Subscribe to the channel. Like and share. Chapter 96, Drave. Caelum Frost, my younger brother, is the very definition of chaos incarnate, a storm of poor choices and reckless impulses. The worst king Veridiana has ever had. Watching his reign slowly crumble has been a fascinating spectacle, almost poetic. Each crack that forms in the throne, every murmur of discontent echoing through the castle halls, brings me a satisfaction I can't disguise. And the best part? Those cracks bear my name. A movement that began as a spark in forgotten territories is now transforming into a fire that threatens to consume Caelum's kingdom. Because, let's face it, who in their right mind would prefer a half-breed on the throne? A hybrid with no true identity, torn between two conflicting natures? No, the people deserve a true leader, someone who understands the natural laws of life and power. And that someone is me. A pure-blood lycan. The one who was unjustly exiled, but now returns to claim what is rightfully mine. While Caelum tries, pathetically, to dismantle my organization, I watch from afar, with the unshakable confidence of a predator watching its prey wear itself down. He'll never catch me because Caelum doesn't understand the true essence of power. It's not brute force. It's not political strategy. It's loyalty. Something he's never had, but I have in abundance. The wolf-spawn renegades are more than an army. They're a pack. Every member, from soldiers to spies, has sworn absolute loyalty to me. Not out of fear but out of respect. They know that, under my command, they fight for something greater. They wouldn't hesitate to give their lives for me, and that's something Caelum will never understand. He rules over a people who tolerate him. I lead a people who adore me. My brother has always been blind to the things that truly matter. He hides behind his crown, his sycophantic advisors, pretending to have control over a kingdom that is falling apart in his hands. I, on the other hand, watch every move. I've always been a step ahead because I've never taken my eyes off him. The irony is that, in the beginning, we were almost identical. For a short and cruel period of our lives, we were raised together. Two boys who, in another reality, could have become allies, maybe even true brothers. But then came the enchantress, Isolde, his mother. A woman who always saw the world as a chessboard, manipulating pieces to protect her position. She couldn't accept the existence of another heir, someone who threatened the immaculate shine of her precious half-breed son. Isolde convinced our father, with her intrigues and spells, to banish my mother and me from court. We were exiled as if we were discarded trash. I was 5 years old. My mother cried every night but always told me to never forget who I was. You're pure blood, Drave. One day everyone will know it. Caelum thinks he can defeat me, but he doesn't understand what he's facing. It's not just the strength of a rejected brother. It's the strength of a legacy he never had the right to usurp. And every day that passes, every soldier who joins the wolf-spawn renegades, every whisper of rebellion that reaches the castle gates, brings me closer to my destiny. The kingdom of Veridiana doesn't belong to him. It never did. And soon, even he will understand that. I'll make sure of it. Organizing the attacks has been easier than anyone could imagine. The lycans loyal to me have come in droves, drawn by the promise of a future where they wouldn't be ruled by a half-breed who doesn't understand their true nature. Even some enchantresses, tired of Caelum's neglect and his policy of exclusion, have joined our cause. After a few attacks on the enchantress community, Caelum did exactly what I predicted. He drove them to the outskirts. I don't know how his mate, Seraphina, stood by in silence. Maybe not as silent as Caelum thinks. The hatred she's harbored for my younger brother is as strong as mine. But unlike me, she's impulsive, reckless. Her actions are filled with mistakes, and her obsessive focus on the human, Aria, is a mistake she keeps making. I've had to save Aria's life more times than I thought necessary. During the attack we launched at the wedding and also at the Queen's birthday. The scent of that human was striking. She carried something unique, something that piqued my curiosity. It was only a matter of time before I figured out what it was. Her children. Or rather, her half-breeds with Caelum. My nephews, imperfect and flawed like my brother, but with potential that scares and fascinates me. And their scent, mixed with Aria's, is so unique it's etched in my memory like an indelible mark. My first direct encounter with Aria was delicious. The way her heart raced when she saw me, the fear in her eyes, was a sight I'll never forget. The similarities between me and Caelum confused her. It was clear that her mind was trying to understand what was happening. And I enjoyed it. I liked seeing her discomfort, seeing how the mere existence of someone like me destabilizes her. The fact that Aria chose my city to hide in is a sweet irony. Of all the places this human could have gone, she came straight to me. I don't know if it was fate or a twist of luck, but I'm grateful for it. She's here, vulnerable, within reach of my claws, and my brother has no idea. When I return home, I feel the familiarity of the place enveloping me. Our rebel refuge is more than just a hideout. It's a symbol of everything I've built. A large, isolated compound, surrounded by dense forests that shield us from prying eyes. Here, my allies live in comfort and luxury, something Caelum could never offer his own. My brothers and sisters, I have wonderful news. News that will make all our efforts worthwhile. I declare, my voice loud and piercing. My followers gather around me to hear my announcement. All of them long for the strike against my brother. They cry out for the reclamation of my kingdom, the throne that belongs to me. Today, a beautiful little bird, defenseless and naive, falls into my hands. I begin, bringing to mind the fragile, docile image of Aria, a lovely sparrow. And this little bird, my brothers and sisters, is the sign that the impostor, the false king, will be coming here soon. Straight to our city, to our doorstep, I declare with a thundering voice. Many of my followers cheer and roar in excitement. Even the ground seems to tremble with their enthusiasm. Let's prepare, let's plan, and believe me, my brothers and sisters. The false king, that impure half-breed, will fall, and the true king will serve you with riches and glory forever. I inform them, inflating the egos of my followers, my faithful. Another round of applause follows, and I disperse them minutes later. The only ones still standing waiting for me are my two generals. What are your orders, Drave? Fenrir asks. He's been by my side as long as I can remember. My longtime best friend. Keep an eye on the human. If she's here, then Caelum will surely follow her. He'll probably come with few soldiers to avoid suspicion, so it will be the best moment to kill him, I explain. Beside Fenrir stands his mate, Kiliana. She's one of the best warriors and spies I have here. As for you, Kili, I want you searching for my brother's mate. From what my spies have reported at the castle, she's gone and Caelum is looking for her. Maybe it's time to bring her to our side, I say thoughtfully. We already have enough enchantresses, Drave. Why bring her? Kiliana asks. I give her a cold look. Kiliana and Fenrir are clever and have a close relationship with me, but sometimes they forget their place. Because I want to. Your minds don't work like mine. Seraphina is not just an enchantress, she represents a door we'll need to cross at some point. Now, whether it's peacefully or not will depend on our alliance. Now go.
Chapter 97, Seraphina. The life of a commoner is torture, a daily spectacle of deprivation that makes me want to tear my own skin off in disgust. An entire month living in hiding, away from the opulence that is rightfully mine, far from the servants who catered to my every whim, the refined meals, and the luxury of breathing the pure air of the Syltirion mountains. All of this, because of that pathetic human and her bastard children. I find myself wondering, with increasing frequency, if any of this is truly worth it. My nails dig into the wood of the table in front of me as I watch Karen with narrowed eyes. He's late, and my patience, which was never great to begin with, is now nearly non-existent. When he finally approaches, the sound of his footsteps is almost inaudible, but the rustling of the paper in his hands grabs my attention like a promise about to be fulfilled. Here it is, Seraphina, the location of the human, Karen says, handing me a paper with the address. Finally, I could hardly stand the wait any longer, I complain. My eyes scan the scribbled words, and upon seeing the address, a bitter laugh escapes my lips before I can stop myself. She's moved to the beach? I ask, sarcasm dripping from my voice. It'll be a pleasure to kill her and throw her to the sharks. Just don't forget to cast the spell before you kill her, my dear, Karen warns, and that irritates me. I turn to him sharply, letting the paper fall onto the table. Well, we'll see about that. I still don't think it's a good idea to trade all of this. I gesture to my own body, to become that disgusting human forever. Especially since Caelum doesn't even know where she is. It will be easy to take the children and kill her. Karen's expression changes subtly, but I notice. His eyes darken, and disapproval is clear. He disagrees with me, and that only fuels my anger. That wasn't the plan we made, Seraphina, he replies, clearly displeased. I cross my arms, my body rigid as though made of stone. My jaw clenches as I try to control the impulse to use my magic to throw him against the wall. He needs to understand that I am no ordinary person. I am the queen, even if the throne is slipping through my fingers, even if Caelum and his heirs are the ones to blame for it. To hell with that. I'm the one carrying all of this on my shoulders, Karen. My voice echoes through the small room. heavy with rage and frustration. I'm the one executing every plan so far, living in hiding like a criminal while Caelum hunts my head. I'm the one who has sacrificed more than anyone to make sure Syltirion doesn't fall. So if I decide I'm not going to turn into a disgusting human, no one, least of all you, is going to make me do it. My magic pulses inside me like a storm about to explode. The energy runs through every cell of my body, warming my skin and making the air around me vibrate. I feel it expanding, ready to escape control, but I cling to the thin thread of sanity that remains. It's not easy. Arguing with Karen has the same effect as pouring alcohol on embers. Something is inevitably going to burn. I stare at him with narrowed eyes, defiant, while he maintains that controlled posture that always irritates me. It's his damn calmness, that provoking serenity, that reminds me exactly why we never truly married. The sex between us is explosive, almost destructive in its intensity, but living together? That's an endless battlefield. No matter how hard we try, the war of wills is constant. I always need to have the last word, and he never bends easily. Do whatever you want, Seraphina, he says, finally giving in, his voice a little colder than I would like. We don't need to turn this into another fight. I take a deep breath, trying to calm the waves of energy still vibrating inside me. It takes a few seconds to regain control, and when I finally do, I allow him to approach and he hugs me. His touch soothes me, and I realize it's time for us to part again, before we end up driving each other mad. I'll go after Aria today, I say, breaking the silence. My voice is firm, but my tone carries a thoughtful weight. If you manage to find her, then Caelum won't be long in discovering where she is. Our window of time to act is minimal, and I won't waste it. Karen pulls back slightly, just enough to look me in the eyes. He nods in agreement, but his lips curl into a smile that irritates and attracts me at the same time. He leans in, placing a brief kiss on my lips, but it's filled with unspoken intentions. If you need me, you know where to find me, my dear, Karen whispers. As soon as I arrive in the coastal town, the smell of salt and sea breeze invades my senses, making the surroundings both enchanting and irritating. There's no time to admire its simple beauty. The task at hand requires precision, not distractions. The transformation into a raven is quick, fluid, as though my body is already accustomed to the shift. My black wings cut through the sky, and from up above, everything seems insignificant. The inn where Aria works is small, with a faded red roof and a white facade that's seen better days. I fly over the place, circling the building while observing every detail. I need to watch her routine, understand Aria's steps, find the exact moment when she'll be most vulnerable. The children are probably somewhere here too. Then, an unexpected presence catches my attention. Drave. I see him approach the inn, walking with his relaxed yet authoritative posture. My heart quickens and a wave of curiosity, followed by frustration, washes over me. What the hell is the pureblood bastard doing here? He should be far away, exiled, banished by Caelum after the old king's death. His presence here cannot be a coincidence. I stay airborne, landing atop a nearby tree, my claws digging into the branch while I watch Drave enter the inn. My instincts tell me not to take my eyes off him, but the sound of the waves crashing against the nearby shore disrupts my attempt to hear what he and Aria are discussing inside. I force my senses, but the relentless sound of the sea is overwhelming. Drave doesn't stay long. I soon see him leaving, his expression unreadable. I can't tell if he got what he wanted or if his visit was a failure. But something isn't right. He's not here by chance. I decide to follow him, flying at a safe distance. My wings cut through the air as he walks through the town's streets with clear intent. I try not to miss a single detail. Drave is not like Caelum. He's dangerous in a different way. Finally, he stops in front of an abandoned shop. The place is small, almost insignificant, with dusty windows and an old sign swaying in the wind. I wait for him to leave, but he doesn't. I remain in flight, circling the block, trying to spot an alternative exit. That's when I notice the magic in the place. The shop holds forbidden magic. Drave, unlike Caelum, isn't afraid to use magic to his advantage, even though he's a pureblood lycan. He has some enchantress working for him. My mind races, evaluating the possibilities. If Drave is here, and if there's magic involved, that means Caelum is at a disadvantage. Drave is a variable I didn't anticipate, but that doesn't mean I can't use it to my advantage.
Chapter 98, Aria. Mom, can we go to the beach? Eloan asks, her sweet voice full of excitement as she finishes her piece of bread with jelly. Her eyes shine like the morning sun, full of hope, and her energy is almost contagious. I smile, despite the exhaustion that always seems to follow me since I arrived here. We can go only at the end of the day, my princess. Right now, it's time to get ready for school, remember? I reply gently, fixing her hair as she eats. Breakfast is a chaotic ritual, but filled with love. The table is a battlefield of crumbs, empty bowls, and crumpled napkins, but every moment with them is worth the effort. Once everyone finishes eating, the second act begins. Putting on shoes, finding backpacks, and getting the kids ready for school. My mom takes them to school, and I'm left with the task of cleaning up. From the kitchen window, I watch the beach in front of me. There are people walking, some just fishing, which allows me a few minutes of peace where my thoughts don't get as agitated as the waves crashing on the shore. I'm finishing getting ready for work, taming the last rebellious strands of my hair, when a knock at the door shatters the house's silence like thunder. My heart races instantly, every muscle in my body tensing. I walk to the door with hesitant steps, trying to guess who it could be. I hold my breath for a moment before opening it. As soon as I do, my heart stirs with surprise. Alex, the name escapes my lips in a whisper, full of surprise and a mix of joy and disbelief. My heart stirs like a high tide, a wave of emotions crashing hard against me. A smile forms on my lips as I see him, the joy of knowing he's safe and well sweeping through my body. Our eyes meet, and I feel the longing almost overwhelm me entirely. Fear soon infiltrates, cold and cruel. If Alexander managed to find me, Caelum could too. The thought cuts through any remnants of peace, bringing reality back into focus. How did you find me? I ask, my voice tinged with concern, even though I try to hide it. My eyes scan the street behind him, looking for any signs of danger, any trace of Caelum. The street is empty, except for Alexander's car parked right in front of the house. Even so, my instincts don't let me relax. You always said you wanted to live by the coast, with the possibility of swimming every morning and collecting seashells in the late afternoon. It wasn't that hard, I just always paid attention to what you wanted in life, Alexander explains, and there's something in his voice that carries a note of pride, as if simply knowing what makes me happy was a victory for him. My heart warms with his response. Alexander knows me so well, knows every corner of my heart and soul. This intimacy should bring me comfort, but instead, it weighs on me like a chain. The truth is right there, trapped in my throat, begging to be spoken. There's no more room for hiding or excuses. Alexander, the reason I came here is because... My voice falters at the start, but before I can finish, he interrupts me with a calmness that only adds to the weight of the moment. The children are Caelum's, Alexander interrupts, his voice calm, but there's a heaviness to it. His blue eyes take on a sadder hue. My chest tightens, and for a moment, I feel an almost uncontrollable urge to cry. The tears threaten to spill, but I take a deep breath and force myself to swallow them. This isn't the time for that. I'm sorry. I should have told you sooner, I tried. I tried so hard to tell you the truth, but I was a coward, I confess with a choked voice. You two were together after I left. Alexander asks, and I frown. No. I slept with him the same day you broke up with me. But I didn't know who he was, and it was just one night, I explain quickly. Alexander's eyes narrow slightly, but he doesn't interrupt. Then, with a heavy breath, I tell him everything. I speak about the first meeting with Caelum, the 2 kisses I shared with him, and how each of my decisions created a snowball that became uncontrollable. My voice falters at times, but I keep going because I know he deserves to hear everything. If I hadn't broken up with you, if I had told you who I was 5 years ago, you wouldn't be in this position, Aria, Alexander says, a tinge of bitterness in his voice. It's not your fault, Alexander. We were both young. I was reckless. Who would have known the man was the king? I reply, a humorless tone in my voice. Forgive me for hiding it from you, I was afraid of losing you again. Alexander looks at me in surprise, his blue eyes shining as they meet mine. Lose me? Aria, Alexander speaks and steps closer to me, his hand reaching for my face and caressing my cheek. I'll always be yours, until you don't want me anymore. His touch against my skin sets my heart on fire. I wrap my arms around his neck, pulling him closer to me. When our lips meet, I feel the love we share grow stronger, deeper. I belong to Alexander, and he belongs to me. I need to know, will you marry me, Aria? Alexander asks by my ear, his voice sending a tickle through my ear. I smile, excited and sincere. Yes, I accept. I reply, my heart full of joy. When I saw you almost dead in that cabin, I prayed for you to come back to me. That if you came back, I would say yes. Here I am, back to you, my love. Alexander responds and kisses me again. My fiancé. Alexander and I walk along the beach toward my work, hand in hand, and I finally feel at peace with it. Alex, things are still complicated with Caelum, I confess to him. The reason I came here was to escape from that side you all have, the nobility. Caelum sees the twins as heirs, and his wife, the queen, sees them as a threat. She wants to kill them at any cost. I know, Aria. Caelum is obsessed with finding you and taking you back to the capital. Seraphina has disappeared off the map. We don't know what her next move is, Alexander replies. We can run, I don't mind giving up my title. But, Aria, we can't keep running forever. We need to find a way to win this. I nod, but I don't know how to do that. How do we defeat Seraphina and prevent Caelum from taking the twins and turning them into trophies for the kingdom? Seemingly noticing my anxiety and worry, Alexander pulls me into his arms and hugs me tenderly. We'll find a way, I promise, my love, Alexander reassures me.
Chapter 99, Caelum. Drave Frost, my older brother, has returned. I hadn't thought about him in years, not since I banished him from the kingdom of Veridiana after our father's death. Drave Frost, always with his dangerous ideas, his vision of power as warped as the man himself. The idealization of a government built on oppression and brute force is a constant threat, and now that threat looms close to Aria, close to my children. The mere thought that Drave might be plotting against them makes my blood boil. My family, a word I am barely beginning to understand, and that is already becoming a target. Asher went ahead to make preparations for me. I cannot move my soldiers into the city. That would raise suspicions, and I don't want my brother to know I'm coming. I need the element of surprise on my side. Things here in the capital are difficult as it is. Seraphina has vanished, and her absence has left me worried, complicating the matter of our official separation. The alliance between the kingdoms of Veridiana and Syltirion is fragile at best. I get into the car and head toward the coastal city, my body buzzing with the anxious anticipation of seeing my children again, mingled with worry. The argument with Aria echoes in my mind once more. Even after a month, I can still taste the bitterness of the words we exchanged. I rub my eyes as I drive, trying to push away the fatigue and the memory, but it's useless. My fight with her, and my fight with Alexander, merge into one in my thoughts. Do I truly love Aria? The question rises again, as it always does, insistent and unwelcome. I try to understand, but the answers slip through my fingers like sand. Perhaps it's just an obsession, a repressed desire that grew because of my marriage to Seraphina, a late rebellion against everything that has always been imposed on me. I've spent my entire life doing what was expected of me, what was right, and then, the one time I chose to do something for myself, something outside the rules, I ended up here. My bachelor party. One single night that changed everything. Now I'm the father of twins I didn't meet until 5 years after they were born. Children with a father who is practically a stranger. The memory of Thorn standing before me, shielding Aria with all the bravery of a child who barely understands the world, still cuts deep. He looked at me with determination, but also with fear. Fear of what I might be. Fear of who I am. He said he wouldn't come with me, and his words were a dagger. As much as his act filled me with pride, it also shattered me. And the bitterest truth of all, I lost my temper in front of them. I almost lost control. I nearly transformed. They must think I'm an uncontrollable beast, a monster. Aria is right to want to keep them away from me. Running was logical. It was sensible. She's only human, facing threats that would make even a warrior tremble. And Seraphina, my wife, no matter how much I despise her now, I have to admit she is cunning and shrewd. Aria did what any mother would do to protect her children. However, rejection lingers like a thorn in my flesh. Aria chose to flee far, far from the capital, without saying a word to me, rather than face things together. Perhaps Alexander is entirely right. I don't know Aria, and if I don't truly know her, how can I love her? A fling is just a fling after all. There's no magical bond that connects two people. That's a fairy tale. Alexander and Aria might truly belong together, might genuinely love each other. Even as I try to convince myself of this fact, something inside me stirs in protest. and I push the thought away again. I cannot afford to waste time on feelings or daydreams about love. Love is a luxury I cannot allow myself. My priorities are clear. Protect my children, eradicate the threat that Seraphina poses, and banish Drave from my lands once and for all. But the list of tasks feels endless, each one a crushing weight. The sensation of being consumed by responsibilities devours me, as if my very existence is on the verge of running dry. At last, I arrive at the luxurious hotel where Asher is staying. The place is beautiful, a beachside style buzzing with tourists. Before leaving the car, I cast a camouflage spell, the same one I used the night I met Aria. It doesn't change my appearance much, but gives me enough security to avoid being recognized as their king. My hair appears slightly shorter. My eyes lose the supernatural glow that betrays my lineage, and my presence becomes less intimidating, almost ordinary. It isn't perfect, but it's enough to give me a false sense of safety as I blend in with the other guests. I speak to the receptionist and give her the room number Asher had sent me. She grants me access, and I make my way to the hotel's penthouse, the most expensive suite here. As I approach the suite door, something feels wrong. My skin prickles, a primal signal I know all too well. Stepping off the elevator, my lycan senses pick up something alarming: the scent of blood. It hangs in the air, heavy and metallic, saturating the corridor like a silent warning. I stop for a moment, breathing deeply, to assess the situation. It isn't old blood, it's fresh. My gaze falls on the door, slightly ajar. I can't hear a heartbeat or the sound of anyone breathing inside. Only the blood. Cautiously, I step into the room. Asher, I call out despite having no sign anyone is here. The air is oppressive, saturated with the smell of fresh blood that clings to my nostrils and makes it hard to breathe. The suite is more like an apartment. There's a kitchen, a living room, 3 bedrooms with closed doors, and a sprawling balcony. I follow my nose, which guides me with unnerving precision to the largest room in the suite, the presidential bedroom. When I place my hand on the doorknob and push it open, the sight that unfolds before me is like a physical blow, rooting me in place as if my legs had turned to stone. The scene is something primal and cruel. There, on the bed, lies Asher. He's sprawled in an utterly unnatural way, his entrails exposed with a violence so raw, so animalistic, I can hardly believe what I'm seeing. The blood, thick and red, drenches the sheets, pooling around his body as if every drop had been spilled with sadistic precision. His face, once full of confident smiles, is now frozen in a grimace of pain he never had the chance to express. His lifeless eyes seem to stare at me, challenging me to grasp the brutality of what has happened. When my gaze lifts to the wall above the bed, I see it. A message written in blood, a note left by Drave for me, a warning immortalized in every drop spilled from Asher's life. The words, scrawled harshly, almost grotesquely, are as real as the blood that forms them. The next to die will be you, little brother. Welcome to my kingdom. My stomach churns, and a wave of nausea washes over me. The rage, the indignation, the pain of losing Asher all merge into a chaotic, uncontrollable storm of emotions. The grief is so raw, so overwhelming, that I can hardly process it. He was my best friend, my only true friend. And now he's here, bloodied, brutalized, a grotesque trophy in a game Drave started and seems determined to see through to the end. I don't know what drives me, maybe instinct, maybe the unbearable pain, but my body moves. I go to Asher's body, my vision blurred by tears that threaten to fall. These tears aren't just for the loss of a friend. They're for the loss of a part of myself. He didn't deserve this. No one does. With trembling hands, I reach for his body, pulling him into my arms despite the blood that covers everything. I hold him close, feeling the absence of warmth in his skin. My fingers clutch him as though I could bring him back, as though I could undo this. But it's futile. There's nothing left to be done. Asher is gone, and all that remains is the void.
Chapter 100 Drave. At long last, the gods have decided to look upon me. It's almost poetic, as if after years of disdain, they've chosen to intervene, offering me a golden opportunity. Asher's arrival is that divine gift, a boon from the heavens aligning perfectly with my plans. My spies, silent and loyal, stationed in every strategic corner of the city, wasted no time informing me the moment he settled into the hotel. Bribing a few staff members was the easiest part. A promise of gold, a threatening glance, and their tongues were tied with a fervor that borders on comedic. They turned a blind eye and deaf ear as I tortured Asher. I did it purely for the pleasure of it and to confirm my suspicions about Caelum and Aria. Every scream, every ragged breath as his resistance crumbled before me, was a symphony I savored as though it were the most exquisite composition. It seems even my brother didn't know the potential that lies within the twins, the power coursing through those two small creatures. I'll give Asher credit. He endured my torture admirably. Few managed that. His screams rarely echoed in the room, his determination nearly unshakable. Nearly. Because like any mortal being he broke. Not consciously, I'm certain. It was a primal instinct, the desperate desire to cling to life, that made him reveal what I needed to know. A desperate act, not a weak one. But in the end it doesn't matter. The result is the same. Another piece has been removed from the board, and Caelum loses his advantage with every move I make. Drave, the enchantress elder has arrived, Fenrir announces, interrupting my thoughts with the appropriate deference. His voice is firm, but there's something in the way he says her title that reveals the respect, or perhaps the fear, she commands. You may bring her in, I order, moving toward the chair in my office and settling into it. A powerful enchantress with strong ties to the forbidden realm. Capable of unveiling the past and predicting the future. I must always stay ahead, of events, of people. With Caelum's arrival in my city, my rebels' attacks must be more than mere revolts. They must be precise, each movement a calculated step toward my victory. The elder enchantress exudes magic as if it were an expensive perfume. There's an authority about her that demands both respect and admiration. She enters like a restrained storm. Fenrir and his mate, tasked with escorting her, appear insignificant beside her presence. If I've learned anything over the years, it's that knowledge is power, and the wisdom this woman carries seems to be the key to what lies ahead. I've heard much about you, that you have strong ties to the forbidden realm. Is that true? I ask, watching her carefully, my interest piqued. The elder enchantress lowers herself into the chair with the grace of someone who bears the weight of centuries in her frame. She crosses her legs with an elegance that feels calculated. She appears to be in her 70s, but I know this is a mask. I have no doubt she is much older. Enchantresses can prolong their lives with forbidden magic. And knowing this, I can't help but wonder, how many millennia does she truly carry on her shoulders? How many lives and destinies has she witnessed? After all, she isn't called an elder without reason. Yes, young man. For the right price, of course. What can I do for you? Her tone is calm, almost indifferent, but laced with a touch of amusement. I adjust myself in my chair, straightening my posture to convey the seriousness of my intent. She must not think I'm merely toying with words. My gaze locks onto hers, unwavering, studying her movements and trying to sense the depths of the power she exudes. It's about me and my brother, King Caelum. What does the future hold for the two of us? I ask coldly. I have no interest in her emotional response. I'm after something more substantial. I need to know where to move, what steps to take to ensure I win this game. The woman folds her arms across her chest and settles back into the chair. Her gaze grows sharper, more focused. She doesn't answer immediately. That depends on your goals, young man, she says finally, with the calm of someone about to dispense profound wisdom, yet in a way that demands my comprehension. Do you seek unity? Or do you crave control and power? How do you see your brother, our king? She counters with a question that forces me to pause and reflect. I see Caelum as a weakness, an obstacle, a mistake of blood unworthy of the crown he wears. I see him as the weak link in our lineage. A half-blood with tainted bloodline, unfit to rule us, I reply. Then let us see how the future unfolds from there, young man, she declares. She rises from the chair with the grace of a dancer, her movements fluid and deliberate. She steps toward me, her steps so light they barely make a sound. As she nears my chair, her fingers extend, and with a simple gesture, she swivels the chair to face her directly. I don't flinch, but something about her movement captivates me in an indescribable way. The sense of power she emanates is tangible. Give me your hands, she commands, and I obey. In an instant the office transforms. The space around us dissolves, and for a moment, the environment loses its solidity. The weight of the air becomes nearly unbearable, and a supernatural pressure settles over us. The books and objects around me begin to float, defying gravity, and the sound of the elder enchantress's voice deepens, growing more resonant, as though she is no longer a mere woman but a higher entity. The floor trembles, the columns of the office groan and stretch, as if the very fabric of space is being reshaped by her magic. The power you seek, the life you desire, will only be yours if you become it. There is only one place, one throne, one king. Become one, and all will be yours, the enchantress proclaims in a voice utterly transformed, as if possessed by a force beyond this realm. When the vision ends and the office returns to normal, for a fleeting moment, she appears far older than she did before. Young man, the path you seek is dangerous and drenched in blood. But if that is what you desire, then, become the king. And for that, you will need the queen, she declares. My sister-in-law? I ask with amusement. She's left a trail of monumental failures. The enchantress smiles, but it's a smile devoid of joy or warmth. Never underestimate the heart of a desperate woman, she warns. And never, ever dismiss a powerful enchantress like her. If you want Caelum's life, you will need Seraphina. If you like it, subscribe, share, comment, and like. If you want to read the book, link in the description.